Welcome to The Lift with Sheila Robinson-Kiss. Come on in. There's always a special place set aside for you here where you can relax, kick up your heels, pour yourself a nice, refreshing drink, and prepare to be lifted and soar. Thank you for joining me. Welcome back to The Lift. Now, last time you were here, everyone had an assignment, and that was to make the ask in 3 areas of your life. I'm checking in with you. I hope you completed it. If you did complete your assignment, I want you to touch the screen right now, because I'm giving you a major blast of energy. So congratulations. I hope it went well for you. Today we're going to talk about low-grade irritation, identifying the source and eliminating the discomfort. I'm going to explain a little bit more about the symptoms of low-grade irritation and what you can do to help yourself. But first and foremost, you know I love my little stories, so I have a story for you, and it's actually one of my favorites. There was a little girl walking home from school with her father one day, and everything was going pretty well, and she looked off in the distance, and as they were approaching an underpass, she saw that a huge truck was actually stuck, and she saw men just working feverishly to get this truck back on the road. It was too large, and they didn't know what they were going to do. And she looked at her father and she said, what's happening? What's going on? And her dad said, it's stuck. They're doing everything they can to move it. And she kind of scratched her head. She's like, well, why don't they just let the air out of the tires? That'll do it. And her father just looked at her and laughed, because the solution was so obvious, but all these pros and experts were overthinking it. And this is what we do so often in life. We make the very simple so complex. And when we say the word, low-grade irritation, I'm not feeling good. I just have this chronic feeling of tension and anxiety. You can get yourself worked up in so much of a lather that the obvious can escape you. So this video is about some obvious solutions on how to manage low-grade irritation. I want to help you identify the source and eliminate the discomfort. So first and foremost, what are some of the symptoms of low-grade irritation? The name gives a lot away, but let me share some of the symptoms. Number 1, you feel moderately tense or irritated nearly 80% or 100% of the time. So there's just this chronic tension. You may carry it in your body, or it may be mental discomfort. Secondly, an inability to focus on various tasks of the day. You might feel overwhelmed in situations that one may normally feel stress-free, so it's just with you all the time. And also feelings of hostility toward other people without being provoked at all. I've had a number of clients to come in seeking services over the last 10 years or so. What they are describing is this base feeling of low-grade irritation, and it's not pleasant to live or exist with it. If you are suffering from low-grade irritation, what I'm saying rings a bell for you. This could be due to a variety of reasons, but in general, there is an imbalance within your system, and that imbalance could be mental, spiritual, or physical. And the good news about imbalance is anything that has fallen out of balance can be brought back in to balance. So the strategies that I'm going to outline for you now, if you do constantly experience that low-grade irritation and anxiety, will help you immediately. The first thing I'd like you to do, and this is tackling the issue from the mental and emotional perspective, is to begin to simply affirm. A lot of us have a problem with the internal chatter in our minds. So you attack that by changing the messages that you give to yourself throughout the day. I want you to begin to simply affirm, I have the ability and choice to free myself from this discomfort. So often we're so worked up internally, we forget that we really do have a choice. So first, I have the ability and choice to free myself from this discomfort. I learned this behavior and I can unlearn it. I learned this behavior over time and I can unlearn it. Next affirmation, I accept total responsibility for creating my experiences in life. When you begin to accept total responsibility for rebalancing and healing yourself, what you do immediately is free up a ton of energy that you were using fighting, being irritated, being agitated with the external world. You free all of that up because that energy now is sourced internally. And I am responsible. I don't need to look to anyone outside of me to make me happy, to make me calm, to bring me back to my center. I do that myself. So step number one is to shift the internal dialogue. Step number two, now we're going to switch over into the physical realm. Life and the power of life is in the breath. So step number two is to reconnect to your control tower and take possession of your airspace. Reconnect to your control tower and take connection of your airspace. I can't stress enough the importance of the breath and breathing in terms of alleviating this low-grade irritation throughout the day. Many of us simply don't know how to breathe. It is a tremendous underutilized resource. So you simply do this. I'm going to give you an example of 3 different breaths that you can use. Number 1 is the full inhalation belly breath. So it's a hold it, breathe out very, very slowly. And second, you're going to breathe in very slowly and you're going to breathe out in short bursts. So it's a okay. And third, you're going to breathe in very full from your belly and let it out quickly. Okay? Those are 3 fabulous breathing techniques that you really want to engage consistently throughout the day. You could even go every hour on the hour or half hour if you want, until you have retrained your brain to breathe in very deeply from the belly, because that is going to help you reset your system, get oxygen to your brain, calm down. Again, all of this works beautifully, but you have to work it. You have to put it into place. And thirdly, we're going to look at this low-grade irritation that a lot of people are experiencing from the spiritual perspective. Many times past hurts, grudges, resentments, they stay with us when we haven't released them or dealt with them. And that plays directly into that first point I talked about of the mind chatter. So how do you actually begin to release these wounds? I'm going to give you a couple of suggestions. And my first primary one is to, number one, pray about it. We don't talk about prayer enough, but the process of release can be gradual. Somehow we've gotten it into our minds that, oh, once I'm just going to say something or do 3 quick somersaults and I've released it. I remember working on an issue and it took me about a year to truly release it. So mentally, when this irritation, resentments come into your emotional space, right there in the moment, you simply release it. In your mind's eye, you can see yourself, you can see your hands chained and the chains just dropping and breaking. You can see a bird, see yourself mentally releasing a bird out of a cage, but always the connection and the thought behind it is, I release this. I don't choose to carry this with me. So this becomes a powerful living mantra and affirmation. So you may find yourself needing to continuously release until you're done with it and the resentment doesn't have control of you. The second thing I'd like you to do from the spiritual perspective is really begin every day. There is power in writing. They've done several studies with people across the country, including folks who are incarcerated, and they found that there was a 60% decrease in anxiety and tension just based on the practice of journaling every day. So I hope that these tips and suggestions make a difference for you. Your assignment for this edition of The Lift is to choose one of the techniques that I talked about, or if something didn't resonate with you, maybe you generate your own technique, and I want you to spend this next week just working it. So often we hear these suggestions and recommendations and don't do anything with them. There's power in implementation. So you have your assignment. I'm going to check in with you next time. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.